Welcome to Econversations, where we decode real time world events through the lens of economics. Today's episode is about a bold economic shift. The United States has imposed a 10% base tariff on virtually all imports, along with the targeted country specific duties as high as 25%. While this policy is framed as a pro jobs and pro manufacturing, the global consequences could be far reaching. For example, trade distortions, inflationary pressure, and the early stages of a global trade war. The move is being implemented under Executive Order 14245, and here's what it includes: a universal 10% tariff on most imported goods, 25% targeted tariffs on politically sensitive trade partners, specific levels of Chinese goods, citing trade imbalances and fatality exports. Tariffs on Venezuelan oil aim to be discouraging foreign engagement. In economics terms, this is a classic case of protectionism, the deliberate use of policy to shield domestic industries from the foreign competition. Let's discuss the core economic concepts at play. Let's decode the economics behind this move. A tariff is a tax on imports which shifts the supply curve leftward, raising domestic prices. This creates a cost push inflation, squeezes consumer surplus, and generates a deadweight loss or a welfare loss. A loss in total welfare due to the market inefficiency. The tariff incidence, or who bears the real burden, is typically shared between foreign exporters and domestic consumers. We're also seeing signs of the beggar thy neighbor policies, where countries prioritize national gains at a global expense. Historically, tariffs don't go unanswered. Countries affected by US duties like China, Mexico, and members of the EU may retaliate by imposing counter tariffs on American exports. This tit for tat spiral leads to a trade war, increasing transaction costs across the border and reducing trade volumes. What starts a domestic policy ends up triggering a multiplier effect, a cascading slowdown in investment production and cross border collaboration. For globally integrated economies, this can mean supply chain disruption, reduced foreign direct investment, the FDI, and falling consumer confidence. So, who's feeling the impact? Retailers, for one, are introducing tariff surcharges as input costs rise. Consumers face higher price on electronics, clothing, and even groceries. The manufacturers reliant on imported raw materials face increased marginal costs, which may result in layoff. In states like California and Texas, import heavy sectors could lose billions in purchasing power. Meanwhile, the US exporters, especially in agriculture and tech, may suffer from foreign relation, hurting both employment and GDP. So, what is the ideological shift? Globalization versus the economic nationalism. For decades, trade theory has been celebrated comparative advantage. The idea that nations should specialize in what they do best and trade for the rest is a great idea. But this move prioritizes economic sovereignty over global efficiencies. We're seeing the re-emergence of strategic trade policy, where governments actively intervene to shape trade outcomes. This reorientation carries risks of lower productivity, reduced innovation, and higher long run prices. So, will these tariffs protect US jobs? Possibly in certain sectors like steel, autos, and semiconductors, but the broader macroeconomic effects include rising inflationary pressure, increased policy uncertainty, reduced real income for consumers, and a dent in the global economic growth projections. The question becomes, are the short term political wins worth the long term economic drag? Therefore, this wave of tariffs isn't just an isolated trade decision, it may mark a turning point in the post WWII liberal economy. For decades, institutions like the WTO, IMF, and the World Bank promoted rules based on global trade to maximize economic efficiency and global welfare. But unilateral tariffs like these challenge those norms. We may be entering an era of geo-economic fragmentation where national interest overtakes global cooperation. This isn't just about the US, it's about the fragility of the global economic interdependence. The consequences, you ask? Less multilateralism and more bilateral trade tensions. and increased reliance on economic sanctions and tariff diplomacy as tools of foreign policy. Tariffs may seem local, but they ripple outwards, influencing everything from shipping costs to foreign exchange. If you found this breakdown insightful, hit subscribe, follow Econversations on Instagram, and share this episode, because every policy decision sends a signal, and here the message is clear. The rules of global trade are being rewritten. Thanks for listening and stay tuned for more.